Hello and welcome to San Diego Market Watch, where we bring you timely, accurate real estate information about San Diego County every single week. Today is October 6, 2022, and let's jump right into what's happening in San Diego real estate this week. So, as has been the case ever since the end of July, standing inventory or number of homes for sale continues to decline. Had a sharp decline here the third and fourth week of August, and then it has been going steadily down ever since. A little bit of an uptick at the end of September, and now back down again. So there are not a whole lot of new listings coming into the market, and you can see that here in blue, where new listings have just gone down, down, down until the end of August, and we've been relatively plateaued since then. And the number last week and the number this week of new listings at 509 is exactly the same. All this time, pending sales have been relatively steady, although also declining slightly. And you can see, at the end of August here, or in the middle of August, when interest rates improved, so did pending sales. Pending sales went up, and that is just proving that the market right now is highly sensitive to rising interest rates, and there are plenty of buyers out there just waiting for rates to drop a little bit so they can jump in and buy. And rates have really not been cooperating with us the last few weeks. At the same time here, closed sales have been relatively flat since the beginning of September. Now let's jump right over here into interest rates, which we were just talking about. And oh my God, the Freddie Mac weekly average is 6.66. Come on, Freddie, couldn't you round up that last 6 to a 7 for us? This is really not a number that anyone likes to see anywhere, and especially not for mortgage rates. This is high, although rates did jump up briefly into the 7s last week. So this is better, but I don't know why we have to be at 6.66. Anyway. Those of you who grew up in the 1980s and maybe listen to some heavy metal music know what I'm talking about. But what we have been seeing ever since the end of May is interest rates just going pretty much straight up. We do have a little bit of a drop off from last week, as I mentioned. And then, of course, if you can qualify for a 15-year term, you're at 5.9. And the 5/1 ARM average is 5.36. And this is really what's driving the market here, folks. Interest rates in the mid-high 6s or low 7s are fairly disastrous for the Southern California real estate market. This really impacts affordability, and were it not for the fact that we didn't have a lot of new listings coming into the market, I fear that we would be seeing a lot worse, a lot more impactful price declines right now. And in fact, I believe we are seeing very impactful, first starting through the summer with deceleration of appreciation, we were calling it. And now I'm just saying correction, because that's a nice way to say prices are going down. It's not the end of the world. And as the Fed Chair Jerome Powell said when he spoke last week, we need to get real estate supply and demand in more of a traditional, more even configuration. And raising interest rates is one way to do that, because it will drive prices down and then even out supply and demand a bit. That's one of the things that the Fed is trying to do. They're combating inflation. One of the big ways to do that is to cool off the real estate market. And he acknowledged that there may be some short-term pain for folks, but what this really means is that we have seen overall this year, or not this year, all throughout, but really since the end of April, beginning of May, we've seen steady decline in median price. We do have a little uptick now that the September numbers are out. From August to September, we had a little bump in median price, but a month-to-month bump is not going to correct all of this. And I believe that we're probably going to see this, best case scenario, we're going to see this plateau for the rest of the year and into next year. But for those sellers who are sitting there and pining away for the equity of February and March, I would say that as hard as it is to do psychologically, you need to let go of those unrealized gains and focus on what you've got in front of you now. Because what equity is essentially is an unrealized gain until you cash it in. And so you can't rely on the market of yesteryear to pay you today. What you've got to do today is focus on what's going on today and get the best price that you can today. And that is still way better than it was a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So home equity is still there, and home equity overall in the United States and in Southern California is at some of its highest levels ever. So overall, the housing market is in good shape, but we do have some short-term pain here in terms of sellers just being able to let go of those unrealized gains psychologically, and buyers being ready to wrap their heads around higher interest rates and potentially higher payments. There are ways around this. As a seller, you can offer to help a buyer with some closing costs to buy down some points, and that's going to be cheaper in the long term than a steep price reduction, and it's going to be better for the buyer as well. So there are ways around this, and there's no reason as a buyer to be sitting there trying to time this thing and jump in between peaks of interest rate. So if you're looking to buy a home, it's still a great time to do that because it's never a good time to keep renting. So if you can buy a home, you should buy a home. And if prices go down a little in the short term, history has shown us that they will be up in the long term. And history has also shown us that interest rates will go down again, and you will be able to refinance that home into a lower rate. But getting yourself into a property and locking in a 30-year fixed mortgage is your best hedge against inflation with regard to your shelter costs, as they call them. So that's what's happening this week in San Diego real estate. If you like this content, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Tell all your friends to subscribe to us on YouTube, because that will really help us out. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit the bell so you get notified every time there's a new video, because we're back a couple of times a week, 2, 3, 4 times a week, with great real estate and home improvement information for you. So with that, I will say good day. We'll see you tomorrow for our Friday wrap-up show, and we'll be back again next week with more San Diego market information.